Hey, welcome back, everybody, to my podcast. And today's episode is with none other than Gigi Datome. With Gigi, we talked obviously about this retirement process, like I usually do with former players, as well as the challenges he went through throughout his career, especially once he came to the NBA, and then once he came back to Europe, and the progress he went through while being in Europe, the challenges he went through as a shooter, the slumps he had to deal with, and how he got out of it, the routines he has, and lots more. So please listen to this podcast. Please share with people that might be interested in it, especially current players that are approaching retirement and maybe former players that are in retirement and are looking for new perspectives. So like this episode, share this episode, subscribe to this podcast, and I hope to see you soon. Bye. Gigi, welcome to my world.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, and congrats, because I see this is 71 episodes, so long way.
Yeah, it's slowly but surely, step by step. I don't like to force things. I like to go with the flow, and that's why there's some inconsistencies, I admit, but I try to at least one episode per month, sometimes two, but I go for quality over quantity.
Yes,
So
of course.
there's overflow just to have episodes, and I don't want to do that. So
I agree on the philosophy.
So we do have a lot of acquaintances and common friends, common acquaintances, and as a proper way of preparing, I also talk to them.
Nice.
But in general, I think just before we dive into the substance of our episode, maybe we can give some context on you as a person, because I understand that you have a different perspective on life in general, and not just, if you take a helicopter view of basketball and look beyond it, I'm sure you have a different way of looking at the whole thing. It's just not like identifying yourself with one job or one role. It takes away a lot of your own personality, and I think you have a different approach, in which way I think we have a lot of commonalities of how to look at certain things, how to look at a career, how to have a perspective. What's your general perspective and view at basketball, and where does this come from?
Great question. I mean, basketball always been part of my life, of course, and the point of view I had and I've been on basketball has been different through the years. Depends on the age, of course, on the years, and on the roles that I approached basketball. At the beginning was just free time, fun, passion, love. I didn't remember when I started. I just remember I was in the gym, chasing the ball, looking at my brother. And then, of course, I started to have some dreams to become a player and trying to become a player. So that's where I moved to Siena to try to see if that life could be my life, my real life could be something more than a hobby, than a passion, and so on. And then the struggle, and then the goals to reach, and then satisfactions, and then the popularity the basketball gave me, and then the network. And then I start to, of course, create a relationship, a friendship, because if I look at my numbers in the form, 80%, maybe more, is about basketball. So that was my life. And then year after year, after chasing my goals and reaching many of them, I knew that, unfortunately, not like singers or, I don't know, actors. For athletes, end will come sooner. Starting to think about what if basketball could be my life also after my player career. So I tried to give a chance to this, and now I like to be involved in basketball because that's what I did all my life. I gained many experiences because I played in Italy, 13 years in Serie A, all the process with the youth national teams, Euroleague, high level, 5 years in Turkey, 2 years in NBA. I collected many experiences that I think it's a pity to waste and to do something else. So, I mean, basketball always been part of my life. I treat it also always as a very important thing, maybe the most important thing of my life. But I always knew, maybe not always, but at some point I understood that it was not the most important thing in life. But my approach was as it was the most important thing in my life.
If you take basketball away, and let's say in the vacuum, what interests drew you like outside of basketball, drew you in certain directions? Because at the end of the day, if there was no basketball, we would find a way to recreate, I think, where we find ourselves in basketball.
Mhm.
So there's a certain way of realizing your own potential in different areas. But I'm curious because I have a wide variety of interests that I also, once I apply, I collect that information, and I call it information diet. I find ways to apply it into my job. You know,
Mhm.
when the situation occurs, and then I had this
Mhm.
in this situation. I found this in that country. I remember this experience, which can help me to deal with this player. So if you take away basketball, which experiences give you the most satisfaction that you kind of later on
Mhm.
can apply or could have applied with working with people?
Understand what you mean, and have been many, and it's tough to underline some because I think all the experience that we met during our career then created that person that we are today. One of my the many lucky that I had as a player that I don't know, I played in Rome 5 years, an amazing city. And basketball is always amazing, but if you have the possibility and the free time to experience such a beautiful city, Rome, and just walking in the streets, so you can get lost in the how many beautiful churches and museums, and that tell you. As I said before, the basketball is not the only thing. We treat it as the most beautiful and most important thing, but it's not the only thing. So when I moved to Istanbul, I said, "Hey, I lived in Rome and I discovered many things. Let's know something more about Istanbul." United States is a little bit different because, of course, I try to experience. I have the full experience, but they will not take it personally if I say that they don't have the same history as Italy and Turkey. But it was something to get more into the cultural place where I was, try to understand better the way the philosophy or the approach of the fans also of the organization. Here and there, music always been something always present in my life. Learning to play an instrument, the guitar, I think moved some part of my brain that never moved before, and I think all these little things help me in have a more open mind approach in things, in problems, in knowing people. And then the locker room, it was a port of people coming from all over the world with different culture, different backgrounds, and that was a daily lesson of staying with the different people, accepting different people, different culture, and the tolerance that is crucial in basketball, to have the tolerance to your mistakes, teammates' mistakes, coaches' mistakes, and so I think all these little things, and I didn't touch the books. The books is my favorite thing to explore, to know something more from another perspective, because every of those books are written by different people from different countries, with different experience, and it's a possibility to see the world from different eyes, and it's something unique.
But you have to be open to accept this as a different way of looking at it, and I talked to Ettore else on a podcast. It was actually the first episode, and he said, when I asked him about truth, what is truth, and in what perspective, like, where do you see their absolute truth? Is there an absolute truth? Is it not one way of doing it? And he said there's no right or wrong. There's just a different way. There's a different way. There's a different approach, and it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just a different way of looking at it, and then you just kind of try to find a different way to winning. It's just there's no way. It's not like all roads lead to Rome.
Of course.
In actuality there are different ways. So
Of course.
this is a way of looking at it, and I'm very, like you said, port of different cultures in a locker room, where all the ships come in from different backgrounds and different upbringings, different perspectives, and to have a unique way of looking at things and bringing everybody together in the locker room to have one vision. I think that's the biggest challenge, but also the biggest fun that you can have, the satisfaction at the end when it works out.
It's very fascinating if you think about it. You have to speak the same language on the court without talking, maybe because the fans are loud and so on. After many practices and videos and communicating, but end of the day, you have to speak the same language, and hopefully, it's gonna bring you to the where you desire.
Yeah. So we start from the end, retirement. How did you approach that part? When did you know? When did you feel that it's coming to an end and you slow? Like, was there a time frame where you kind of, or was it abrupt where you fly like you woke up and you said, okay, I think I'm done. Well, how did you approach that part?
No, I was lucky enough. I think since I was in Istanbul, I was really mentally ready to retire because I knew that if I hadn't a challenge, a purpose to follow, it was better to retire because that was, I mean, I always play basketball for reaching goals. Before was to have a role in the team and then to have a role in big teams and then to win. Okay, then there was the part in NBA that it was a different goal, of course. Then when I came back to Istanbul in 2015, I never won anything in my life. So that time was in such a big club, my goal was to win. And with Fener, we won everything really. So I knew that, okay, if I don't have if from tomorrow there is no team that is signing me for winning, I consider that to retire because that was my goal. Because when you have the feeling to win, you want to you want to feel it again, to have the same feeling. But then the Milano opportunity came. That was a big motivation for me to be back in Italy and to try to win in Italy with such an important club. And then after these 3 years, of course, I was 35 in my last year. Yes, the role was not important as before, and I was always very fatalist. I don't know if it's the right word in English, but I followed the flow. Okay, I knew that it was my last season during maybe in December, January. I say, okay, this is my last season because I want to do something more because I think I know to win titles with Milano. Yes, was going to be great, but I think didn't had anything or didn't take off anything of my career. So I was very curious also of what was coming after. And then it was a beautiful finish. I mean, we won the title game 7. I was MVP of the final. There was the 30 title for Milano, so the third star. And then I had the possibility to finish with the World Cup as an Italian captain. So I couldn't really imagine anything better to finish.
Yeah, that's absolutely. That's kind of you feel like this is the right way to step away. Did you consult anybody before making that step, or was it something that you just kind of made a decision on your own? Did you talk to anybody to prepare
No,
you?
of course I talked with the closest people, of course my wife, my family. I told my dad that you gotta be ready because this can be my last season. I say, no, you finish the season and then you decide. Always don't say anything. I mean, take your time. But I say, I know, but be ready because my dad was the biggest fan of me. So that was the year I say, hey, this could be the last one. So just be ready. And then, hey, Dad, I kind of decided, so this is going to be the last. And then he told me, just do the World Cup and then you will decide. I say, no, I cannot, I want to make it clear that is because also it's bad if you don't say anything. You play the World Cup and then you think I retire. You say, okay, you retire because nobody asked you. I say, no, I just want to retire. So it was a funny process. And my wife told me, he tried to provocate me and say, "Hey, are you sure? Like, I don't know. Now we are playing. If our daughter is crying at night, I wake up because you need to rest. But if you stop playing, you're gonna wake up." She was teasing me just to understand if I was sure. End of the day, I was kind of scared because everybody told me you're gonna miss it. It's tough after you play, blah, blah. And I was scared, of course, in a part of me. But also, I knew that this, as I said before, this retirement is coming. Maybe I could procrastinate it for 1 year, 2 years, but it was coming. So I thought also that instead of play 2 more years, it was better to invest those years to understand better what I was going to do. This is my second year, yes, as a retired player, second season. I already think as with the basketball season, and I think it was a very good choice.
So the first year after you retired, what were the biggest challenges or some players that's when a lot of conflict also happens, within yourself, within the house, because there's a different way of, the dynamics change, the timing changes, everything, like how often you're at home, how many different situations arise that didn't arise. But was there a kind of a challenge with finding a new identity within your daily life and like the things that some unlearning behaviors that athletes learned over the years, the habits they learned, some emotional regulation on the court, off the court. Was there some challenge with that as well, of like leaving certain things behind?
No, I think that was pretty easy. What helped me a lot is that I had a role in the team with Olimpia Milano. That was the team where I retired, so that I didn't move from the apartment. I had kind of the same routine. I was going to the same gym in the morning, so that helped me. I made the decision because of this to make the process a little bit smoother. Of course, I had to say thank you always to Milano that gave me this opportunity. Also, if the role was not as important as an ambassador, but I was able to be there to learn, to listen, to be present, and to have a role. So the process was smooth, and now the biggest challenge is to let everybody understand that now I'm the coordinator for the national team. I'm not a player anymore. I'm not an ex-player. I'm not an ex-important player. I'm the coordinator. So still, everybody treat me as an important player. That on some certain circumstances is good because the respect and that I gained through the years helped me, of course, also to have this role. I know perfectly, but also is the role that I'm taking is not only because of that. It's also because of what I would like to do and the way that I would like to the things that I would like to bring to the Italian national team as a federation. Of course, I need to learn a lot. I'm lucky that there is Salvatore Trainotti, who is still our general director, that when I have a doubt, I call him, and he is teaching me on daily basis how to approach things and how to do things. But it's tough to let everybody understand that you're not a player anymore, so you need to be treated not as one of the guy of the locker room, but one of the guy on the other side. It's tough, but I have to break this wall.
Yeah, I think that's the toughest part, where you have still the empathy for the players, and like naturally you miss the locker room because that's a big part of who we were. But at the same time, you have to distance yourself, and also that's, I think, a lot of times that players go into coaching, especially to have that line and to differentiate. I'm wondering what was the biggest learning curve in that current role that you have with Italy, with the national team? What was the biggest things that you had to, like, that were eye-opening for you, that you did not think about while you were playing, that were actually eye-opening for you when you went behind the scenes?
No, the amount of work that there is behind the scenes to organize the summers, everything from the to upload the roster on the FIBA map, to organize the hotels, the travels, to create the team, to the players, how you create the team, which player you should call, talking about the coaching staff and what the players would like to have to be able to perform in the right way, what the coaches would like to have in order to work in the right way, and to pay attention on the budget, all these things that of course I never paid attention because I was focused on playing. Now I'm more involved with, and it's an incredible amount of work and an incredible dedication of people that of course nobody from the stands know. Maybe the players know because they work on daily basis with the federation, but they're not as famous of course as others, but their job is very important, because I always joked with the equipment manager. I say, hey, you're the most important job in the organization. Say, hey, you fooling me. I say, no, try to forget 2 pair of shoes and everybody will notice, so and everybody's job really is fundamental to achieve the team results.
You mentioned calling the players and having, communicating with the coaches of who to call, and is the order of the calls important to you?
The order of
the calls, of who to call first?
I learned also this. Yes, there are priority, of course, because you cannot call the president for every the President Petrucci. You cannot call him if I don't know, for little things, but you need to call somebody else, and that's a very important thing that at the beginning I knew, but there is hierarchies of who to call when you have to solve a problem, when you have to inform things, when you have to share information. And yes, when sometimes the player's mentality is to react immediately.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to take a breath. There is no 24 seconds, luckily, in this life, so you can take 5 seconds to make a thought and understand who to call first and who to disturb first to in order to solve your problems.
But also in terms of the players, of who to call to the camp, I think it's also important to have the hierarchy is also important in that regard.
Of course, because there are, when you go to now the FIBA windows, for example, you put on roster 24 players, and then you call 16 players to start, basically, and the 12 players will make the team. You need to have a certain number of bigs, a certain number of guards, a certain number of point guards. So, yes, this is a coaching staff problem. But of course, I'm involved and I listen.
Yeah. Did you have any thoughts about going into coaching? Was there any kind of feel for staying closer to the game and staying on the sidelines?
No, I think his coach is very, very tough. It's very difficult. I think I could have been a pretty good assistant coach. Head coach, I have no idea, because head coach is another word. But assistant coach, I think I could have been pretty good. I try to, of course, share things when I see with the coaches and ask and so on. But of course, after being with Obradovic and Messina 8 years and playing Euroleague at that level, it was really a daily lesson. And you see, I saw pretty all the things in basketball in terms of preparation, in terms of defense to attack, players to defend, situations, so on. But I know also that coaching is tough, and I like to have stability with my family. So I think this role now give me the right balance between helping the national teams, which is the organization where I played through all my career from 2001, my first summer, to 2023. And having stability with my family, that was something that I was looking.
Yeah, the coach's life is even more. I mean, the players already, like the players and the family on the road all the time, but the coaches have even less time at home. There's a lot more meetings. It's a big disbalance between the regular life and the bubble life of basketball coaches. When you were playing, the expectation from coaches in terms of information that you get from them, what was the expectation for you from the assistant coaches? During the game, before the game, what was the communication with them? Because they a lot of times have to relay a lot of information from the head coach, or during the game. What was the relationship and what was the expectation from assistant coaches from you?
Assistant coaches was, of course, those that watched a lot of games, your games, and of the opponents. So if they had to tell me something about my game, I was waiting for them, or I was asking for specific videos that I wanted to rewatch with them. But I was asking a lot of opponents, because Euroleague season is there's short time to prepare your games. So they always have a chat. Hey, how this team, how they play, how they defend pick and roll, how they guard on the exit, on the low post, all this, how we can attack them. What is the game plan? So we start to talk, blah blah. I was asking me, and then of course when you arrive to the game, everybody should know anything, and I was communicating more with the coach, that is the person who makes the decision, and maybe if I was saying something different in the game, or making sure that everybody we were on the same page, I was communicating straight with the coach, just to be sure that everybody we were on the same page.
Yeah. Besides the X's and O's, because you played for some of the best coaches in the world, like if you look your resume of the teams you played for and the coaches that were coaching you, besides the X's and O's, what makes a great coach to you? Like what's the fine play, the gray area that makes a great coach?
As you said before, there is no only one way to winning. I think the best coach can find the best way possible with the players that he has, and of course, whoever prepared the teams better in terms of details, and but also whoever reacted the quicker and the best during the game, because of course everybody have great game plans, deny one side, I don't know, don't let him receive the ball, don't turn over the ball, share the ball. Everybody has the greatest game plan, and then there is the game, and also the opponents have good game plans, good player on the court, and they prepare something, and you need to react. So I think the best are those that can react on the court on what the others prepare in order to give you problems.
Okay, I agree with that. The reaction time is very important. You have to see a game in really live speed and
I've
be
been
able.
very short. There's many things on the daily basis, of course, but it is to be short.
No, yeah. The reaction time is definitely up there. I would argue that handling personalities at the highest level is probably like for those coaches at the highest level, because you have such a deep roster with so many personalities from like we talked, from different backgrounds, and you have to find a way to get through to everyone, depending on their culture, sometimes depending on how they think and what their approach is and what their role is, and keep them motivated if they don't play a lot, because they at some point there will be injury, they will have to be ready. You can't lose a player. So I think that those coaches, especially when we worked with Ettore, there was a lot of emphasis on the personalities, the way, who likes to play with whom, which are the lineups, how do we want to do the rotation, and the rotation is one thing, but there's layers below that, because it's also depending on the personalities that you have. So I think that those are things that are relatable to communication.
No, of course, every player is a different world. Usually, every player have individual agendas. The best scenario is when the individual agendas, they are the same as the team. Of course, I think in Fenerbahce we've been very lucky, because we had the core of the team. We were happy to be there, satisfied with the role, and we wanted to be the best as possible for the club. So I think that was one of the key of our success. Of course, after being coached by Jericho. And Jericho, for example, you say that to treat people in a different way. He was treating people in a different way, but for certain things. But but he was very honest and very straight, of course. But he was, on certain things, he was direct with everybody. I mean, some kind of mistakes he couldn't accept it, and he was straight with the best of the team and with the youngest. That is something that coaches usually, they let a lot to the best players to do a lot of mistakes that maybe they will never allow to the young players. That, if you think, is controversial, because the young players should have more possibility to make mistakes instead, compared to the best player, but to not to get in conflicts and to not ruin the mood and so on. Some coaches try to close one eye. Jericho, certain things he understood that certain kind of mistakes on the court, certain kind of mistakes he couldn't accept, especially in terms of reading, of being selfish or not respecting the game plan. That nobody could go against those principles, from the youngest to Bogdan, Jan. They were the best players for us.
Yeah, there's certain things you can have a double standard on,
Yes, of course.
and certain things it's the principle that counts.
Of course.
And those are the fine-tuning things that the head coaches at that level have to recognize, and have to have one line, with their because the players recognize there's something wishy-washy about
it. Of course. They are the first that they make a scan to the coaches, and they see, and they players, they think players are just players, but players have this feeling for many things, and you leave the team from the stomach, from the locker room, so you have all the feeling, yes, it's something that from the outside now is tough. It's tough to see what I used to see as a player, because I'm not leaving the locker room, and this I experienced that from the first year is not the same. If you're not in the locker room, if you don't share the fatigue and the stress of the players. Okay, I was playing with them a few months before, but it's not the same. Of course, we had a relationship. They knew how I was thinking and how I saw things as a player, but it's not the same. If you don't share the fatigue and the locker room, it's not the same. And this is another adjustment that I had to do.
Yeah. Okay, let me share my screen. I will show you my I will do some heavy work here. It's my sponsor, proballers.com. And have you heard of this platform before?
Let me see. Probably yes. Yes. I heard about
Yeah,
it. Yes.
statistical platform, and
Okay.
you can follow your teams. You can follow the players that you want. So let me find a Luigi Datome. There you go. And so you can
Good
follow
looking.
the yeah, very good looking. Yeah. So you can go through different things. You can look at your games you played, and your records, the records that you set. I would like
What
to
is this?
do.
4 points, 3 points. Which season is this? You put the last
Uh,
one. Come on.
I
It's not fair.
it's I think it's automatically set for the last one. Yeah, that's
No. I joke.
so let's do a quiz here for the teammates that you played the most with. Can you take a guess of the teammates throughout your whole career who you played the most games with?
Nicolò must be one of the players that I played a lot with.
Okay, I'll tell you because Nicolo was the second place. Who was the first place?
Who? The first? Okay, somebody with Fener that play Fener. Jan maybe. From Fener.
Bobby Dixon, Ali
Okay,
Mohammed.
okay, yes.
Yeah, but it was close. It was
Makes sense.
254, 237. I think Bobby barely missed any games.
No, Bobby was a machine.
Yeah, he was a machine.
Meli also, I'm talking.
Yeah. Meli is in
Costas.
3. Costas is close. Costas and Jan Vesely were very close, 222,
Okay.
225. Nikola Kalinic, and then it drops off a little bit.
Okay. Wow.
And opponents, do you have a guess on opponents who were?
No idea. No idea.
That's a tough one because it's all over the place, and they take the different competitions that you
Let me
played
try.
in.
Let me think. Maybe I would say some Italian, maybe.
Thinking combinations of leagues that you played in,
Yes.
like national team and
No,
then
but
Italy.
I have no idea.
So top one was Brian Dunstan.
Okay, many derbies. Yes, many
Yes,
derbies. Also, when it was in Varese.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was something I didn't think of Varese because I thought but Varese, and then Milos, because Milos was also Bologna, then Serbia, Olympiacos. It dates back to a lot of games.
Also us under 16, you see.
Yes, yeah. It's under 16, under 18 FMP. So there's it's all those small junior competitions. So that's surprising because there's a lot of different scenarios and contexts that you guys face each other.
Daniel also, yes, true.
Yeah, Daniel.
I played against good player, let's say.
Toko also, because of the Bologna. In the play, you faced each other a lot of times.
Bologna, yes, and Vittoria also. We play playoff series and Euroleague.
Yep.
Micic also, true.
So that's like 29, 29, 29. And then it's very close up top. So yeah, for everyone on proballs.com, you can follow your players, your teams, and the leagues, and you can mark them here. And every time you go on the website, it pops up the teams that you follow. So I encourage everyone to go up there. Going back to your career as a player, when you were with the Celtics, what was the first memory that comes to mind because everybody still remembers you, everybody's still raving about you. Every time I talk to Brad, he said, tell Gigi I said hello, because
there's
only good memories, So what's the memory for you that you think of when you think of Celtics? What's the first memory that comes to mind?
A very happy period of my life, especially coming from Detroit, that I was never playing, but really never. Especially the second season, from October until February, I played 3 games, and most of them was inactive. So I was really tired of not playing. I missed basketball a lot, and Boston Brad gave me a shot, and I was able and ready. I was very proud of myself because I was ready to step on the court after those months of being inactive, basically. And it was because a lot of daily work. Every single day I was working a lot just to be ready for this possibility. Of course, playing in that arena with a jersey. I went to watch the 2010 final against the Lakers. I was game 6 in Boston. No, game 4 in Boston, game 6 in LA. So I bought tickets and was, very high. I could see the court. So when I stepped into the court for the first shooter, I think I stepped on the court and I was trying to see where I was sitting here. For the last time that I came was only 5 years before, and in that moment, never I could hope and dream to be a Celtic, and then happened. Of course, I knew that, I gave myself 2 years to see if I could belong to that level, and the time was running up. It was February of my second season, so I had to do anything that I could. And of course, the organization was great. It was not one of the best team, of course, but it was a fun team to play, and we reached the playoff. Everybody liked the team because we had no superstars, maybe only Isaiah Thomas, but was not a superstar yet. And we played Celtic basketball, they say, sharing the ball, playing hustle defense. So good memories. And of course, the TD Garden chanting my name in a game that I was playing good. It was something to tell my grandkids.
Yeah. I remember I when I came to visit also, it was one of my first years with the Celtics, and that was something also because I remember we started, that was a rebuilding process, early in the rebuilding process, and Brad took the team to the playoffs very early, and that was something that everybody was having fun. You could see that the environment was very positive, and everybody, and you were the crowd favorite. Like every time you came up, you stood up from the bench. Just the whole crowd was. You could already see the anticipation.
And I had pressure because everybody expected me to score 3. So when the ball was coming, almost they were celebrating already, saying, "Let me shoot and let's see if it gets in." But I was shooting good, though. I had a good percentage too. So, and that helped me on staying on the court, of course.
So but that's the cool part. I mean, I was in my own right. It's in a lower level. I was a shooter as well, but that was the sense in college or when I played in Germany. That was something I really enjoyed because everybody's like they catch the ball in college is the shooter. Like it's like don't leave them open. But that's the thing that gives you confidence. You get like, okay,
of course.
I get the ball, and it's just like
yes,
so those things are. I've personally thought it would give me more of a boost even. And my question to you is, because we all, as shooters, we went through slumps at some point, one way or another. It's a mental game. How did you find yourself getting out of it? What was this like your slump, getting out of the slump process?
Being back to the gym and shoot, the quantity. And if you do a series of 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, you say, hey, you are a shooter. When the ball is coming, you have to shoot. But of course, repetition gives you confidence. And that was part of my routine. And before every game, I had to do an amount of shots before the game, not only the day of the game, but also the day coming from before the game. I remember, but well, in the last years of my career, it was of course less quantity, more try to do this 10 in a row, for example, instead of quantity. When I was younger, I could afford hours more on the gym, but it was crucial. It was crucial for me. Also, that's what I suggest to younger shooters. If you stay on the court to shoot extra, and everybody notices that you are shooting and you're shooting and putting work. The players are noticing this, so you show that you are working to be the most ready as possible when your teammates are finding you. And also, the coaches are seeing that you're putting extra work, and this is always good. Nothing bad comes from extra work. Of course, it doesn't have to be stupid. Doesn't have to be 8 hours in a row shooting, but that amount of quantity, that amount of shots that give you the confidence to be okay. I did my job. I feel the shot. I feel my legs. I feel the touch. I'm ready. I'm ready to roll when the ball will come.
For me, like I get that there was something that sometimes you can overwork yourself with the shooting. Like the quantity. I found a way. If I felt weird sometimes, it felt like everything felt weird when I was in slump. I felt like my rhythm was off. The way I held the ball, everything just felt so. I just kind of wanted to get away from the gym, just not to touch the ball, and then just kind of not stay after practice, not come in, or just come in, practice, and get out, and then just to get this, find the fluidity in a different way. Instead of punching your way through the wall. You know what I mean? Like, did you have anything of that, or was it always for you just
no? As I said, didn't have to be stupid. I mean, especially, I don't know, after a 2 hours practice, you don't shoot well because you don't jump the same, and so it's maybe to have a little touch and that's it. But if you have a possibility to to keep your confidence with the shooting, I always try to do. One thing is also what Niccolò took fun of me mainly is that I wished I was not thinking as you when I had to shoot, because when he was shooting, sometimes he was thinking a lot. My thing was I'm shooting and scoring.
Yeah,
Of course, I was missing, but my thing is they're looking for me. I need to shoot and I need to score. And
exactly.
it was the trainer of Fenerbahce, Bat Azimovic, told to Memir Mamutoglu, who is one of the best shooters I've ever seen. He say, "Hey, your job is very easy. When you're open, shoot, and when you're shooting, score." It's easy to say, but really, but you need to have this approach. There are a lot of players that are you can see when they are shooting and they are not confident in themselves. For sure, if you see the best shooters are consciousness, they say, because I was always trying to take good shots. This help you in having better percentage. Of course, if you take crazy shots, it's tough to have good percentage. But when you take good shots, you work a lot of your shot. The team trusts you, the coach trusts you. Okay, I mean, and then if you miss, somebody else will take your shots for sure. This is basketball.
Yeah, that good shot. It's like you said, like if when shooters shoot, there's no other way but to score. You know, like you have to think that it's going in. Otherwise, you're not going to be at that level. And then if you miss, you miss. Like it's part of the game. You're not going to make every shot. But
of course,
the mindset has to be, and it has to be a natural way of like, yeah, it's going in. Like there's no doubt about it. Let me ask you this, because in scouting also there's a lot of times there's questions that we think of like transferring roles, you know, like from Europe to go to NBA and from NBA to Europe. A lot of times the role, if it fits one role to the other, it's kind of an easier transition. But at the same time, when you come from the NBA to Europe, there's a little bit of an expectation factor that you have to have a little bit more of a load, a volume, and you have a more of a, let's say, leadership position, you know. So how was that for you to come from the NBA, being a specialist and a role player, which you still were in Europe, but you had a little bit more higher expectation and that bigger role, let's say, on the team that you play for? So what was the adjustment process for you when you came from? Was there a learning curve as well when finding your way of like playing more minutes constantly?
No, of course. Think about it. I went to Detroit after being MVP of Serie A in Italy with Rome. So I was playing 35 minutes. I was all around really. I was doing on a lower level, of course, reaching a Scudetto final. So the team had a pretty success. But then you go to NBA and you have to prove everything from zero. I understood after a while. It took me a while that I was trying to play basketball, to read and so on, but they expect me to score, to score to shoot, to be a shooter and to score. Me, I wanted to read the closeouts and to read the rotation, to play basketball. But those that can do many things in NBA, they are the superstars. And if you want to do that, you gotta do it at that level. And I was not at that level. So to find a spot, I had to be a consistent and reliable shooter. But that meant in the first year to shoot everything I had in the balls on the garbage and shoot. It was tough. It was tough to come into the game. The fourth quarter, the game was either won by 20, either lost by 20, and then you had to touch it and to shoot it. Everybody is expecting you to score. If not, you see why you're not playing. But then I adapted because I think I understood that was what they expected from me, and NBA is an amazing organization, and every club, every organization is amazing. You cannot have the arrogance to come and to tell, hey, I would like to play in this way. You need to adapt, of course. For example, in Boston, I remember now that when I was doing, weightlifting before practice, sometimes here and there I was coming out on the court, say, give me a ball, and I need to shoot from a cold feeling, like I was doing coming from the bench. You didn't touch the ball for minutes, and then you had to touch the ball and shoot and possibly score. But in Boston, I remember also I was playing more. I was reading closeout, I was attacking, I was mainly shooting, but I had the possibility to do more because I was more on the court. And that was tough to adjust. It took me a while, of course. And then coming back to Fener, I was coming back in my world, let's say, of reading, of understanding the game. In those 2 years, also I was playing Eurobasket with national team, so I was in touch with FIBA basketball. That was the basketball that I learned through my career and formed me as a player. So the transition to NBA, of course, was different, was tough, but coming back to Europe was pretty comfortable.
Yeah, the adjustment to the NBA. Would you say that Detroit year was the toughest year of your career? Was that like the biggest challenge for you?
No, it was frustrating, but especially the first year because I was not healthy to perform. But it was more tough when the first years, especially in Siena or in Rome, where I had the same problem, but at a lower level. That moment I was in NBA, so I was happy to be there, frustrated but happy. The same frustration, but in Serie A, that was tough. And then I didn't have the previous 10 years that I show what I could do. I need to show everything, and I didn't have minutes on the court to show. When I was younger, that was the toughest moment. After that, no. After that, but those years in NBA gave me a lot of mental strength. Mental strength in believing in myself, in waiting for my moment, in understanding the importance of the daily work, of the daily routine, and that I carry all of that in my in the years with Fenerbahce and with Milano.
That's the thing, that in those moments and those challenges, there's a lot of negative self-talk all the time. Like I feel like I can fall into that as well. Like there's in different life situations, but I think to be in frustrating situations for any player, everybody deals differently with it. But there's always this like negative self-talk that you feed yourself, the negative part, not the positive part. Like is the glass half full or half empty?
Of course.
And you always have to be like in a realistic position of, okay, this is the situation, this is what I have to fight through, and not really dig that hole even deeper, so I think a lot of challenges
and a lot of the people around you, they tell you, hey, why the coach don't put you more in, why don't you play, so you're not playing, so you have to shoot every ball you touch. They say, yes, from outside it's easy to shoot everything, but it doesn't make me feel comfortable. And I think now with this generation more and more, because there are agents and everybody's more focused on himself, on their career, so it's tough. And I put us I remember, because it was frustrating. I remember I didn't like that moment, because NBA was amazing, everything was amazing, but not for a player not to play is tough. I mean, because we love playing basketball, and that's why I was there. Not playing was really frustrating. But then I also realized I was in NBA. I was with the Pistons. It was an amazing opportunity, so I had to leave it with a certain positivity. So I put a post-it on the fridge with a smile, and I say, hey, smile, you are in NBA, just to remember, because sometimes you lose the focus or where we are, and all the fatigue and all the work that they put in to be there. So I had to be patient, and I'm happy that the Boston opportunity came, so that I could finally be on the court and have fun as an NBA player, and not only being an NBA player for the salary, or for the private planes, or for the 5-star hotel.
Yeah, the visualization is interesting. Like just to keep a visual reminder of all the time, just to be happy of where you're at, and keep
of course,
gaining perspective on that. Yeah. There is also, when you said like coming up and shooting cold, out of the weight room or whatever, but there's also, I heard of training ways of training and training techniques where guys have, like, after going through shooting drills, and then just sit down for 2 minutes, 1
Makes
minute,
sense.
2 minutes,
Makes
just
sense.
to cool down, come
That's
in, and
the
then
game.
yeah,
That's the
and
game.
that's sometimes you run. It's most of the game is played without the ball, and then once you get it.
And if you think about it, there is nobody that practice to everybody. When we start practice, you warm up with the trainer, and you start to shoot a little bit, and then you start to play. There's nobody that start to the practice, like, as you say, 10 minutes sit and then get in and play, and that's the game, for many players, for a second unit at least.
Yes, yeah, you have to be ready for those moments, and then training yourself, the muscle memory, and training your mind to be ready. Did you have a preparation routine? Speaking of those moments when you have to be ready, what was the emphasis for you of the preparation routine? Like because there's certain details that you go through. Also, it starts with the game day in the morning, I'm sure, like, what certain things you have to go through. But where did your routine begin, and where did it end?
If you think about it, also from the day before I started, from the things that I used to do after the last practice before the game, what I was eating the evening before, the amount of time I was sleeping at night, and then of course on the game day, a lot of things from the routine, on the morning, on the gym, also something superstitious maybe, but I called it like a mental button to press, in order to say, hey, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do in order to be ready for the game. Many from the really physical perspective, mental perspective, and basketball perspective in terms of drills and routine. Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing, that the routine, a lot of times I see young guys, you notice it in warm-ups, I just got two shots from there, 3 shots from there, and then just kind of, and then I see guys that are going through form shooting before the game. They do their stretching routine, they go do the form shooting, they do gradually go back to the 3-point line, and then they go to the spots. And it's the earlier they start the process of learning of the shoot, the better, the easier it is later on to get yourself into the groove. So it made me about shooting. One more thing that I wanted that I thought of right now. Did you differentiate between the different shots, 3-point shot, free throw shot, the pull-up shot? Because there's a different rhythm to each shot. How did you approach those shoots?
There's a moment to, you mean that the routine on the preparation, not of the game. There are moments that, for example, I talk about the Fener years that I was doing more, of course. In the morning, I was doing, I think for each 7 position, let's say, around the basket, I was doing this series, I don't know, 12, 15 shots, depends how I felt. I don't know, 15 shots, it was one setup, maybe 2 setup, 2 dribble right, 2 dribble left, 2 step back right, 2 step back left, 2 set on 3-point shot, 1 with fake and dribble. There was a position, and I had to do 13 out of 15, I don't know, or 14 out of 15, and then to confirm the position, 2-on-2 free throws, and if you miss a free throws, you start over. So I was inventing all these tricks just to give me some goals, and to have, after that, when you do all the things, if you have a good day, still you did 15 for 7, 35, it's 105 buckets, and different, it's not 10 3-point. That never happened to the game. This is a summertime workout, because you put you work on the follow through, on the consistency of the shot, on the technique. But then the game is this: you shoot one setup, then one post up, and then one drive. So I was trying to do this. The game of the day, I wanted to have the feeling of the shot, to see that I was scoring, that I was smooth, that I had no problem, that I was pushing with the same intensity the legs, and maybe I was trying something specific of the game. Maybe I knew that. I don't know, they play hedge, so we were looking for Kyle on the short low, so I need to be ready to catch and shoot from the corner, because that was the rotation. Or maybe I had some advantage on the low post, so I was working more on the low post, because I knew that I was going to the low post, or I knew that I had
according to the opponent.
Yes, slow feet. I was doing more closeout. All things, yes.
Yeah, according to the opponent, what defense they're gonna play, and where your shots will come from.
Yes.
And did you prefer the assistant coaches to pass you good passes or bad passes? Because in the games you get some bad passes.
Yes, of course. Yes, you need to be ready for that, because that happens. Bad passes happen, of course. And also that was one of the drills: pass me the ball, and the worst ball as possible. One is I need to catch it, one to jump, and then to be back in position. That also was a drill. Of course, coaches usually pass it worse than players. But yes, I was doing all of them. If I had to work on the technique, I wanted good passes, of course. But as you said, it's not easy it's not automatic to receive good passes on the game.
Yeah. You ready to go my ATOs?
Let's go.
Okay, they're not gonna be Jelko or Etro-like or Brad Stevens-like, but they will be some quick questions. If basketball didn't exist at all in a vacuum, what would you be able to? What would you do right now? What would be your? Where would you realize yourself?
For sure, but I was a book. I say bookstores, not libraries. Another thing, the bookstores. I was selling books in a bookstore for sure, 100%.
Okay, top 3 books from different categories for you that influential in your mindset.
No, it's tough, because really the mindset, really all these books created my mindset. But Count of Monte Cristo from Dumas taught me the power of literature, how nice literature can be, and how powerful can be literature. Shantaram gave me to understand how books really can make you desire to travel, to know more different culture. And Harry Potter made me love reading. Harry Potter made me love reading, so I understood that reading was something that I need to. It was one of my biggest passion. It was because of Harry Potter, so I would put it.
Okay. If you had a 60-second phone call, who would you call?
And they will pick up the call for sure.
For sure. For sure.
Keith Richards. Keith Richards, maybe. Because I think he's always one moment of his life that he knows everything that he knows, that he learned everything that he could learn. And for sure he will. I need to prepare the call because I need to get 2-3 questions. I mean, 2-3 is too much. Maybe one question. I need to prepare one good question to Keith Richards because he's one of my idols. And yes, I love this book. Maybe I could nominate also Life of Keith Richards. Very nice book. Let's say this, yes.
Life of Keith Richards. Okay. You and 3 dinner guests that are alive, and with those 3 dinner guests, what will be the top conversation for you? The top topic.
Dinner guest. I need to tell you also the dinner guest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keith Richards.
Maybe Keith Richards. Let me see. Some Tony Blair. Tony Blair also. I read his last book on leadership. I didn't know him politically way, but it was a very nice book. So, okay, political. We covered politics. We covered music. An author, some author that I love. Let me get some inspiration here. Tiffany McDaniel. Tiffany McDaniel is an American author, very young but very powerful, and I love all his books.
And what would be
interesting, kid?
The number one topic in that round?
How maybe because I've been hit from my dad passed away last summer. How they deal with the death of their beloved ones.
Okay, that's a very important deep topic. That's yeah. If you favorite non-basketball follow, whether it's Instagram, X, wherever your social media use the most, what's your favorite non-basketball follow?
Must be some journalist. There was this case in Italy, a very good journalist, Cecilia Sara, just been kidnapped in Iran, and luckily she's been released. And her story, she has a podcast, and her stories are unbelievable. She's very young, she's 29, but she's incredible, good journalist. Her maybe also because she's been in my mind a lot recently, because really I was every day refreshing to see news about her. But also a good friend of mine, Francesco Costa, is another journalist, and I follow his job a lot. Before I say the bookseller, but also journalist, it's a job that fascinates me a lot, to tell the people what's going on in the world, and to be the guy that to inform people on what happening in the world is a very important job. Very important job that give you a sense of the level of democracy in each country.
Yeah, I agree. It has to be sincere too. It has to be from a perspective where it comes from like a honest journalism.
Yeah, also because on the daily life, people that don't have time, and people get information through social media, but it's not the proper way. So these people that understand which stories to tell you and which stories to underline. So to be the filter from all the news in the world and to choose the one that they will tell to you, it's a very important job.
Yeah, I agree. And last question, I use it from Tim Ferriss. I always have to give credit to Tim Ferriss that your favorite failure, if you look back in your career and throughout your long career, your life, if you go back and you think of a failure that it was hard to deal with, but you look back and you have like a affirmation for it because it helped you the most to grow, and something that you like you would cherish actually.
Failure, I lost many games and championships, but I never consider it as a failure. I think the failure, okay, I got it. One failure was 1 year that my second year in Rome, I was basically never healthy. And I took it, I didn't took it in the right way. I mean, I had to focus more on being in the gym, or me more ready. And I spent too much time on enjoying the city, going bars, friends, girls. I always been professional, but I could be, I mean, I was not happy on basketball, so I was looking for happiness on somewhere else, and was a critical moment because, you know, you can lose it. But I understood that somebody told me that I was approaching basketball and the possibility and the luck that I had to be a basketball player. And I was approaching it. I was wasting it basically. I was not fully respecting it, and I was not fully taking advantage of it. So that was a wake-up call that made me approach also tough moments in a different way. And that helped me a lot. I'm sure that was a crucial moment to be a better player.
Yeah, it sounds like a sliding door moment. You know, somebody, whoever told you, it could have easily went the other way.
Yes.
Very cool, Gigi. Thank you so much for your knowledge, for your wisdom, and for your experiences to share. And I'm sure our listeners, our viewers, will take a lot away from it.
Thank you. It was good also for me to refresh a little bit my English with Italian accent for sure, and it was always good to share experience and to, you know, to share the experience that I gained, and to talk about basketball. This is our world and what we love. So I think one of the most beautiful things also basketball, a sport, but basketball is the most beautiful sport, of course, is that really can give inspiration to people that maybe don't play basketball. They have different job, but they can see themselves in similar situation and then get inspired from players, coaches, or people on the basketball. So I hope that we gave some inspiration to the listeners.
Absolutely. I think we have to respect the platform that we get and that we have, because there's a lot of people that are listening that would like to have know more and then use that in their daily lives. And I think that we use that very well today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right, everybody. See ya.
Thank you, Ben. Bye-bye.
Bye.